What did you do? I went crazy. What did you do? I started, I asked the dude to get out of my house. And after that, I started forcing it my wife.
And one day, those four children are going to find out, because nothing ever goes away on social media, that their mother was tossed naked from a bridge like a piece of trash.
I'll never forget this, never. No, you can go on with life each day, try to be strong, but it's just so heartbreaking.
On the morning of March 15th, 2023, the small, peaceful town of Edwards, Mississippi was rocked by a tragedy so horrific that it seemed almost unbelievable. It all began when a 36-year-old wife and mother caught her husband sleeping with their daughter. But what she didn't know was how finding out this secret would cost her life. She would suddenly disappear, but what started as a missing persons case would evolve into a story of betrayal, brutality, and a shocking revelation. Just a day earlier, Ebony's life had been filled with promise. She was a dedicated mother, a well-respected nurse, and an integral part of her community. Yet that morning, her family's world was turned upside down. As hours passed with no word from Ebony, the case took a darker turn. Her vehicle found burning on the side of the road, and later, the grim discovery of her body in a nearby river set the stage for an even more chilling revelation. But the most horrifying detail of all came later. But before we uncover the chilling evidence that points to her killer, let's rewind to the start of this tragic story.
The reputation that she had is that she was a good team player for the employees that she worked with. They quickly fell in love with her and her work ethics. We're saddened by her untimely, and we pray for strength for her family.
36-year-old Ebony Owens was born on October 13, 1986, in Edwards, Mississippi. Edwards was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone, and crime, if it happened at all, was rare, which made what happened to Ebony not only heartbreaking, but extremely shocking. Ebony grew up in this close-knit community and quickly became known for her kindness, humility, and warmth. As a young girl, she formed lifelong friendships and earned a reputation for being the type of person who always put others before herself. Her family and friends remember her as someone with a heart full of love and compassion. Whether it was volunteering at church, helping her neighbors, or caring for her own family, Ebony always had a smile on her face and an open heart. She was the type of person who made everyone feel seen and heard, someone who could always be counted on. Growing up, Ebony attended Edwards High School, where she was known for being kind and friendly. She was never the loudest person in the room, but her warmth and sense of humor made her incredibly well-liked. As she transitioned into adulthood, Ebony chose a career not so surprising: nursing. This seemed like a natural fit for her nurturing personality. Her empathy for others and her desire to help those in need made her a fantastic nurse. She became a well-respected member of her community, earning the nickname the Candy Lady because she always kept sweets on hand for the children in the neighborhood. She was known for her selflessness, always willing to go the extra mile to make sure everyone around her was okay. At the core of Ebony's life was her family. She was a dedicated mother to her 4 children, who were the absolute center of her world. Ebony's love for her children was unconditional, and she worked tirelessly to provide them with the best possible life. Despite the difficulties in her marriage, Ebony always made sure her kids were well cared for and loved. Her dedication to them was unwavering, and she was always there for them, whether it was helping them with schoolwork, playing in the yard, or simply spending quality time together. The bond she had with her children was one of deep love and affection, and they were her greatest joy. In addition to being a loving mother, Ebony was also a devoted daughter and sister. She maintained close relationships with her extended family, and her presence in their lives was a source of strength and support, which made when she disappeared really shocking for them. Despite the loving and caring person she was, Ebony's life would take a dark turn when she married 36-year-old Michael Owens. Their relationship, which started out seemingly full of promise, began to show signs of strain over the years. Michael, who had a troubled past, would become an increasingly toxic influence in Ebony's life. Their marriage was marked by emotional turmoil, and despite Ebony's best efforts to hold the family together, the cracks in their relationship began to grow wider. Ebony had always been the caregiver, the one who carried the weight of others on her shoulders with quiet strength. She tried to make her relationship work, pouring her energy into keeping the household together. Friends often admired her resilience, noting how she seemed determined to hold her family intact despite the mounting challenges at home. Behind closed doors, Ebony fought battles that few could see. She balanced the demands of daily life with the emotional strain of a partnership that was unraveling. But even the strongest hearts can only endure so much. As the difficulties became heavier, her determination was tested in ways no one could have imagined. She continued to show up for her family, masking her pain with courage. Little did she know a bigger danger was awaiting her. On March 14, 2023, Ebony Owens vanished without a trace. She failed to show up for work on March 15th, and her family hadn't heard from her since the previous day. This sudden disappearance was completely out of character for Ebony, and her family immediately became worried. They knew something was terribly wrong. As hours passed with no word from Ebony, the situation quickly became urgent. Her family contacted the police and began their own search for Ebony. The community, shocked by her sudden disappearance, rallied together to search for Ebony, but as days went by, there was still no sign of her. Law enforcement launched a full investigation, but it wasn't until March 16th that a key piece of evidence was discovered. Ebony's vehicle, a white 2015 Acura TL150, was found burning on the side of the road, and her license plate was found nearby, carelessly discarded, adding to the mystery surrounding her disappearance. Investigators soon turned their focus to Michael Owens, Ebony's husband. Although he was initially not a suspect, the mounting evidence pointed towards his involvement. As investigators examined the timeline of Ebony's last known movements, it became clear that Michael had played a central role in her disappearance. The situation would soon take an even darker turn.
An ongoing search for 36-year-old Ebony Owens in the Big Black River underway Thursday. The Warren County Sheriff's Department and Department for Wildlife and Fisheries assisting Hinds County with search boats and drones.
We believe that the deceased body of Ms. Owens was put into the Big Black River here near this particular location.
Deputies found Ebony's white Acura burned Wednesday morning near her and her husband, Michael Owens' home. After a welfare check, Ebony was reported missing.
I just got here and the police was everywhere, and I'm like, what's going on? They said her car was found on the side of the road, burnt up. I'm like, man.
Patrick Coleman is a neighbor of the couple. He says Ebony was a good neighbor and a good mother to her 4 children, 2 of which still live in that home.
That's terrible, man. That was a good girl.
Then the investigation took a turn. Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones announced her husband, Michael Owens, was being brought in for questioning. The department arrested 36-year-old Michael Owens, changing the missing persons investigation into a investigation.
He will be charged with her, and he will be charged with arson as well.
Sheriff Jones believes Ebony died from at least 1 gun wound, but says investigators won't know the extent of what happened until her body is found. Reporting in Hinds County, Grayson Gordon, 16 WAPT News.
Search teams began focusing on the Big Black River, a location authorities believed could hold further clues. The investigation took a toll on the search crews, who faced various challenges such as strong currents, debris, and limited visibility. But despite these obstacles, the determination to find Ebony's body never wavered.
Hey guys, Therese Abel with Dark Horse Press here. We are on a boat in the Big Black River right now. This is during the search for the body of Ebony Owens. Now, she went missing about 8 days ago. This is the 8th day of the search, and authorities have crews out here right now searching this river using sonar and other technology to try and find her body. They believe that they were told that she was thrown off the Highway 80 bridge and has floated down, potentially floated down the Big Black River. So we're on the boat with one of the crews right now, and I'm just going to show you a little bit about what they're working with here. So you can see there's a lot of debris in the river. That's partially because they did some maneuvers that shake it loose. And hopefully when you do that, you hope that it'll bring anything that is snagged in the debris to the surface. So we'll see a lot of things that are floating down the river as we go. In addition, they use sonar that can show you very clearly, the technology is pretty amazing, what's under the water. Now you do sometimes still get false type, images, but the fact is it's very, very easy to see the shape of a human if it's in the right situation. I don't want to say that it's very easy, but in the right situation, you can decipher that is a human. What we have here is there is a lot of debris under the water as well. That makes conditions better for, someone snagging on the bottom and getting stuck. But at this point in the time that she's been gone, it's easy to assume that she might start to float in, sometime today or the next couple of days. The cold weather may have affected that some, but at this point, this is where we are. And again, we're on the Big Black River. We are in Warren County, right off Warriors Trail. And this is, the search team has been up this way, but at one point, they took their boats high speed up that way because that does, create a wake and start to shake loose some of the debris.
The search was crucial, not only to give Ebony's family closure, but also to solidify the investigation that was slowly but surely unraveling Michael's lies.
For a second straight day, search and recovery teams launching their boats into the Big Black River to find the body of missing mom, Ebony Owens.
We tried to launch this morning about 8 o'clock, but the river had fluctuated some, and the rain during the night made it just almost impossible.
Warren County Sheriff Martin Pace says one huge drawback in the search, the swift current of water moving down the river.
Yes, it is, and it was the same way yesterday, but from my understanding, the water is about a foot less deep than what it was yesterday.
Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones believes Owens' husband, Michael Owens, shot her at least once overnight Wednesday and then dumped her body from a bridge into the river.
I can say on behalf of the Jackson Hinds that this has been a devastating news for us.
Ebony Owens worked at Jackson Hinds Comprehensive Health Center. Her colleagues knew something was wrong when she didn't show up for work Wednesday morning.
Once we realized she wasn't at work, within a few minutes after 8, we knew something was wrong.
Director of Nursing Michelle Owens, who's not related to Owens, says her colleagues are heartbroken.
She was sweet to the patients, to her co-workers, got along well with the doctors here. She was just a great person to work with.
The sheriff says they want to recover Owens' body as quickly as possible to give her family a sense of closure. Reporting from Hinds County, Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
Law enforcement crews prepared for another surge of the Big Black River after several days of trying to locate the body of an Edwards woman. 12 News' Tia McKenzie has details about some obstacles crew members encountered. Tia?
Byron, Melody, rapid currents, colder temperatures, trees, debris, and a lack of visibility. Crews continue to face challenges as search and recovery for the body of 36-year-old Ebony Owens resumed today at the Big Black River. Multiple agencies teamed up to resume day 5 of the search. Rubber boots, life jackets, and thermal gear were the attire for today's mission. Ebony Owens' husband, Michael Owens, appeared in court just yesterday for the first time. He is charged with and arson after his wife was shot, according to the Hinds County Sheriff's Office. The judge determined no bond would be set for Michael Owens at Monday's court appearance. Tia McKenzie, 12 News.
After days of painstaking search efforts, investigators would find something chilling. On March 25, 2023, search teams discovered Ebony's body in the Big Black River. Her family's worst fears were confirmed. The vehicle fire, the burned car, and the body found in the river all pointed to one person, Michael Owens. The investigation revealed a chilling series of events. Ebony had caught Michael in bed with her daughter, a discovery that would ultimately lead to her brutal murder. After killing her, Michael set her car on fire in an attempt to destroy evidence. He then disposed of her body in the river, hoping to cover his tracks. This was the start of an even darker chapter in the investigation. Once the body of Ebony Owens was discovered in the Big Black River, the investigation quickly turned from a missing persons case to a full-fledged murder investigation. Law enforcement agencies immediately intensified their efforts, piecing together evidence, gathering testimony from witnesses, and following the leads that had begun to stack up. The investigation became more complex as authorities continued to uncover disturbing details about Michael Owens, Ebony's husband. Although initially not a suspect, Michael's increasing involvement in the case became undeniable. Deputies had already discovered the burning vehicle on Old Highway 180, and with Ebony's license plate found in a nearby wooded area, it was evident that someone had deliberately set fire to her car. This discovery led authorities to believe that foul play was involved, and Michael Owens, despite initially claiming no knowledge of his wife's whereabouts, became the primary person of interest. From the start, Michael's behavior raised questions. He had been the last person to see Ebony, and his actions after her disappearance were highly suspicious. Investigators began to look at his past, the troubled nature of their marriage with Ebony, and his behavior in the days leading up to her disappearance. Crucially, evidence began to surface that linked Michael to the crime. Authorities discovered that Michael had been in communication with Ebony the night she went missing. Further investigation revealed Michael's whereabouts that night and placed him in areas close to where Ebony's vehicle was found. This made it clear that his story didn't match the evidence, and soon enough, investigators connected the dots. Michael Owens was responsible for his wife's tragic death. Once the evidence against Michael Owens became overwhelming, an arrest warrant was issued. It was clear that he had played a central role in his wife's disappearance and death, and law enforcement had gathered enough proof to charge him with murder. On March 30th, 2023, Michael Owens was arrested at his home in Edwards, Mississippi. The arrest was the culmination of days of investigation, and it was a relief for the Owens family and the entire Edwards community. Michael, once viewed as a respected member of the community, was now in police custody, facing charges for the brutal murder of his wife. As he was taken into custody, Michael showed no remorse for his actions. He was visibly shaken, but remained stoic, giving no indication of the guilt that investigators had hoped to see. The arrest marked a pivotal moment in the case, but it was clear that the community still grappled with the fact that the man accused of such a heinous crime had been someone they once trusted. At the time of his arrest, Michael Owens faced several charges, including first-degree murder, arson, and the intentional destruction of evidence. Investigators had uncovered key pieces of evidence that linked him to the crime, including text messages between him and Ebony, surveillance footage showing his movements on the night she went missing, and forensic evidence that further confirmed his involvement.
Well, we have breaking news out of Hinds County. The search for Ebony Owens is over. This after an unidentified body was found in the Big Black River around 4 this afternoon, and that body has since been identified as Owens. Now, Owens has been missing since March 15th, and the investigation turned into a investigation after her husband, Michael Owens, was arrested and charged with her. Michael Owens is also charged with arson and battery of a minor.
Spoke with Shannon Daniels. She says she's known Ebony Owens practically all of her life since they were 5 years old. And she says seeing her husband in court today was very emotional. A judge refusing to set bond for Michael Owens during a Monday initial court appearance. Owens facing an arson charges and the killing of his wife, Ebony Owens, and then disposing of her body in a river.
I mean, I knew him because of her being married to him, but I didn't too much care for him.
Ebony Owens' best friend, Shannon Daniels, in the courtroom for the brief hearing, feeling a range of emotions.
Just anger, and I'm just in disbelief that he did that to her. She was a good person, a good mother, a good sister, a good daughter. She didn't deserve that.
Owens is charged with and third-degree arson. According to the Hinds County Sheriff, the 36-year-old Owens was shot at least once, her body later thrown into the Big Black River overnight Wednesday. 2 hours later, authorities found Owens' car burning on the side of the road just minutes from the couple's home in Edwards, where they lived with 2 of Ebony's 4 children, a 7 and 11-year-old.
It's been a while since I spoke with her, but we was best friends. It's nothing that we didn't talk about.
One thing Daniels didn't want to talk about publicly, what may have led her best friend's husband to allegedly take her life.
I feel like, people take their vows too serious when they say death do you part. I just feel like if somebody wants to leave, just let them go.
Monday afternoon, search crews returned to the Big Black River at the Hines-Warren County lines for a fourth day, hoping to find and recover Owens' body. Authorities say one huge challenge they face, the river filled with debris, which could conceal human remains. Owens worked at the Jackson Hines Comprehensive Health Center, where a manager told us she was recently promoted. Along with her kids, Owens leaves behind 4 sisters. And authorities have not given a motive for why they believe Ebony Owens was. Her husband told the judge today in court he does have an attorney, but hadn't had a chance to speak with his legal counsel. Tonight, we're live at the Hines County Courthouse. Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
While the arrest of Michael Owens brought a sense of justice, it didn't bring an end to the heartache. The Owens family was left to cope with the devastating loss of Ebony, a mother, daughter, sister, and friend who had been taken far too soon. Michael's arrest had sparked relief, but it also marked the beginning of a long and painful journey for those who loved her. As Michael Owens was processed and taken into custody, law enforcement officials intensified their search for evidence to ensure the case against him would stand firm in court. Investigators left no stone unturned. They reviewed surveillance footage, analyzing phone records, and reconstructing Ebony's final movements leading up to her disappearance. Each piece of information added weight to the prosecution's case, while Michael himself appeared in court with a demeanor that many described as cold and detached. By September 2025, the trial of Michael Owens had begun, quickly evolving into a media spectacle. The case gripped not only the local community, but also the nation, as disturbing details about the couple's relationship and Michael's state of mind surfaced.
Well, several people came to the stand today, including Michael Owens himself, and as he was being questioned by the state, he had to remove his glasses from how much he was crying as he talked about his deceased wife, Ebony Owens. Now, Owens admitted to going crazy after seeing his wife, Ebony Owens, in bed with another man. He said that's why he Ebony, threw her body in the Big Black River and set her car on fire. Owens' team is arguing this was a crime of passion. They are saying Owens killed Ebony because they had a rocky marriage where they were both unfaithful to each other. They also said he was fearful of his life the night of the murder because Ebony pointed a gun at him first. Now, the state is arguing that Owens Ebony was planned. They pointed out how many times he lied during the investigation back in 2023, which means he could be lying about seeing a man in bed with Ebony. They also pointed out how he brought a drill to take off her car's license plate and gas tank to light her car on fire before throwing her body into the river. With tears in his eyes, Owens insisted he just snapped that night. He said he didn't mean to kill her and he regrets what he has done. He also said he didn't take Ebony to get help after her in the head because he was scared and he did not want to go to jail.
I snapped. When I snapped, I just went into rage. When I snapped, I wasn't in my right state of mind. I just lost my mind. What did you do? I went crazy. What did you do? I started, I asked the dude to get out of my house. And after that, I started forcing it my wife.
This trial is far from over. They are expected to return to court on Monday at 9:30 a.m. And as more developments come out of this, we will be sure to keep you updated. I'm live at the Hines County Courthouse. Brooklyn Joyner, 16 WAPT News.
Reporters filled the courtroom, and the public followed every development with growing unease. Taking the stand, Michael offered his own account of the crime. He claimed that he had shot Ebony after allegedly discovering her in bed with another man. According to his testimony, Ebony reached for a gun, and in what he described as an act of self-defense, he fired a fatal shot to her head. His words were chilling, delivered with a mix of emotion and detachment, leaving the courtroom unsettled. The prosecution countered with a starkly different version of events. They argued that the murder was not a spontaneous act of passion, but a calculated, premeditated crime. Evidence revealed Michael's attempts to destroy key proof, such as setting fire to Ebony's car and his deliberate disposal of her body in the Big Black River. Forensic analysis, including the discovery of a bloody blanket, painted a picture of planning and intent rather than self-defense.
It's the state of Mississippi versus Michael Owens, and as evidence was shown, Owens covered his face. 2 witnesses took the stand today, and they shared their memories of the investigation. Owens is accused of his wife, Ebony Owens, in March of 2023. He told police he shot her, wrapped her body in a blanket, and threw her into the Big Black River. He also admitted to lighting her car on fire and removing the license plate. Owens said all this stemmed from seeing a mysterious man in his home in bed with his wife. The first witness to take the stand, investigator Richard Brown, said there were many inconsistencies in Owens' story and he felt Owen lacked credibility. Owens' team said although his stories were inconsistent, in every story, Owens did say that he saw a mysterious man in his home and that the man ran out of his home. The second witness to take the stand was investigator Stephen Sims. He said he took pictures throughout this investigation. He gave first-hand accounts of the graphic pictures shown in court. Sims says these were pictures of Ebony Owens' burned car, removed license plate, and blood-soiled bed sheets. Sims said there were also pictures of Owens' body near the Big Black River and bloodstains on the bridge over the river. Now, Judge Faye Peterson dismissed the jury in the middle of Sims' testimony, and they plan to return tomorrow at 10:30. And as more details come out of this case, we'll be sure to keep you updated. I'm live in Jackson, Brooklyn. Joyner 16 WAPT News.
After a tense trial that stretched over several days, the jury deliberated carefully before reaching a decision. On September 8, 2025, Michael Owens was convicted of first-degree murder and third-degree arson. The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read, marking the end of a harrowing chapter for Ebony's family. During sentencing, Ebony's family spoke through tears, describing the devastation of losing a loving mother, daughter, and friend. Their words underscored the human cost of the crime, reminding the court that behind the headlines was a woman whose life had been stolen. Michael Owens was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Ebony Owens, with an additional 3 years for arson. For Ebony's family, the verdict brought a measure of relief. Justice had been served. Yet the emotional toll of her loss remains immeasurable. The trial may have ended, but the memory of Ebony and the pain of her absence continues to echo through the lives of those who loved her.
Thankful that justice was served today. No human should have gone through things that my daughter went through. But the only thing I can do is continue to be strong for myself, my family, my grandchildren.
The trial lasted 2 weeks with closing arguments from the defense beginning Monday morning. Trent Walker, who represented Owens, said they held their ground during the trial.
We put on the best possible case on behalf of Mr. Owens, given the information that was out there, and we are satisfied that we did the best job that we could for Mr. Owens.
Just before the verdict was read, Owens apologized to the family for his actions. Ms. Jenkins-Johnson says sorry just doesn't cut it.
Sorry, I mean, hey, that ain't gonna get it for me because I'll never forget this, never. No, you can go on with life each day, try to be strong, but it's just so heartbreaking.
And Owens was sentenced to life in prison, plus 3 years for the arson charge, which will be served concurrently with his sentence. For now, I'm live in Jackson. Kendall Jones, 16 WAPT News.
The arrest and sentencing of Michael Owens was more than a shock through the Edwards community. Edwards was a small town, and news of the murder spread quickly. The Owens family had been a fixture in the town for years, and many of the town's residents had known Michael and Ebony as a couple. The revelation that Michael was behind his wife's death left the entire community stunned, unable to reconcile the man they had known with the dark actions he had committed. Ebony's family, however, had always been wary of Michael's behavior. They had seen the signs of trouble in his relationship with Ebony. Despite their concerns, they had hoped for the best, never imagining that their worst fears would come true. The discovery of the burning car, the recovery of Ebony's body, and the mounting evidence all pointed toward Michael's involvement in the crime, but it wasn't until his arrest that the reality of the situation fully set in. Ebony's mother, in particular, struggled with the loss. She had always tried to support her daughter's marriage, but as time went on, it became clear that something was wrong. She had noticed the emotional toll Michael's actions had taken on Ebony, but she never could have predicted that it would lead to murder. The emotional pain of losing a daughter, especially in such a violent manner, was compounded by the fact that the person responsible was her son-in-law. Local community leaders expressed their shock as well, with many residents of Edwards struggling to make sense of the tragedy. They spoke of how Michael had been seen as a good man, someone who had been a part of the town for years. The fact that he could be capable of such violence was beyond comprehension for many of those who knew him. Ebony's close friends and colleagues, especially those who had worked with her in the nursing field, remembered her as a compassionate and loving person. She had touched many lives with her kindness, and her loss left a deep void in the hearts of those who had known her.
The reputation that she had is that she was a good team player for the employees that she worked with. They quickly fell in love with her and her work ethics. We're saddened by her untimely death, and we pray for strength for her family.
Ebony's children were left without their mother, and her family was left without the woman who had been the heart of their world. They expressed their grief publicly, but they also vowed to keep her memory alive. The community of Edwards came together to support Ebony's family during this incredibly difficult time. They organized vigils, fundraisers, and support groups for those impacted by the tragedy. It was a time for people to come together and grieve, but also to honor the life of a woman who had given so much to her family and community. In April 2023, the city of Jackson, Mississippi gathered to bid farewell to Ebony Owens. Her funeral service, held at New Horizon Church International, was a deeply moving occasion that reflected the profound impact she had on her family, friends, and community. The church was filled to capacity, with mourners from all walks of life, family members, lifelong friends, neighbors, and supporters who had followed the heartbreaking case since her disappearance. The atmosphere was heavy with sorrow, yet also rich with love and remembrance. Following the service, Ebony was laid to rest at Garden Memorial Park, located at 8001 Highway 49 North in Jackson. The serene landscape of the cemetery provided a peaceful resting place for a woman who had given so much of herself to others. As mourners gathered around her gravesite, there was a collective silence, a moment of reflection, and a quiet promise to carry forward her legacy of compassion and resilience. Her funeral drew a large turnout, underscoring the breadth of her influence. Loved ones shared stories that captured her spirit, tears flowed freely, and moments of silent reflection reminded everyone of the depth of the loss. Among the attendees were advocates and supporters who had been moved by the tragedy of her disappearance, standing shoulder to shoulder with her family in grief. Though the occasion was somber, it was also one of solidarity. The gathering was not only a farewell, but a testament to the enduring mark Ebony left on the lives she touched. Her funeral became more than a ceremony. It was a collective acknowledgement of her strength, her generosity, and the love she carried for her family and community. Ebony Owens' story is a tragic reminder of the importance of speaking out, seeking help, and never allowing fear or shame to keep you in an unsafe situation. Her life and legacy are a call to action for all of us to do better, to support victims of domestic violence, and to work towards a future where no one else has to suffer as she did. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.